love what you do.
Thank
So
you.
you're a certified holistic health coach.
Yes.
And I saw that your journey when I looked up your link tree, kind of your journey, and I thought it was super neat because you actually have these conditions that have kind of led you to question, more than just taking medication, just seeing a doctor once a year or once every 6 months and taking medications. But can you tell me a little bit about kind of why you became a health coach? Like what has been the journey for you?
Well, it really started when I was a kid because I was diagnosed with a few different conditions when I was a child. So, like, I had Bell's palsy, diagnosed with Stargardt's disease, which is an eyesight condition. I was diagnosed with IBS, when I was like, I think I was maybe 15 or 16. And every diagnosis had no answer. Well, I don't know why. They did say sometimes it's stress, and it's just like, basically you have to deal with this stuff forever. Take Metamucil for IBS, or like,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
And so then I just wanted to seek out, my own answers and just really be my own advocate and use the healthcare system because they're important, but not rely on it 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. That's been my journey as well. I also have autoimmune. I have ulcerative colitis.
Okay.
I've seen many doctors for years, and I've kind of just always been given a prescription and told just follow the prescription.
Yeah.
But for you, so this is kind of neat because now if you have, your patients that come to you with similar problems, with a health problem that they've tried so hard and have run into issues and trying to get to the root cause, like, how do you do, like, what is the approach you have? So if I were to come to you and say, Rebecca, I've tried so many things, I can't seem to get to the root of the problem. What do you recommend for me? What do you do, like, right off the bat, one of the first things you do?
The first thing is always to just see where you are right now. Like, what are the symptoms that you're experiencing? What have you tried? What is it that you are trying to accomplish? What your sleeping habits are, your water intake. Honestly, the biggest thing really is, what is your emotional state? How are you feeling? What thoughts are going on in your head? With these different conditions, I'm not a doctor, so I can't treat conditions. And honestly, I almost became a doctor. I was thinking about going to become a doctor because I'm so passionate about it. But the difference between a doctor and a coach is that I can actually, like, walk people through the process rather than just say, hey, go do this protocol. Because it takes time to get to that point of where you can do all of this stuff. You know what I mean? That's really necessary in order to heal. But I find there's a lot of stuff that is just an emotional connection, to everything. And so figuring that out is super key, or at least being open to considering that and working on things one at a time in, like, small doses.
Small doses.
Yeah.
Because I was going to ask, I feel like sometimes accountability is the hardest when it comes to making change. So, like, what happens if, let's say, I have a protocol that you suggest for me? How do you work with your patients as far as, like, accountability?
Well, if they're working with me, we are in communication pretty often, at least once a week, and then available throughout, just depending on, what they need. So I'm always there to help them be accountable. But the thing is always, the first thing is just knowing, like, is what I'm trying to do actually realistic? Is it necessary? Is it sustainable? So starting off with, say, if it's exercise, you want more movement, because when you move more, you feel better, you can make better decisions. That also improves the way that you think.
Right.
So if you're saying, okay, I'm going to go gung-ho and work 7 days a week, or work out 7 days a week, and, I can't do that. Well, maybe you should only start by doing 3 days a week. So we make sure if you're booking 3 workouts, do those 3. You know what I mean? So starting off, like, being realistic about what it is that you're trying to accomplish.
And oftentimes I've noticed that when you try to change your health, you kind of attack, like, okay, I'm eating clean, I'm exercising, I'm going to do all this at one time. But oftentimes I think that's not recommended, right? You just have to take it step by step when you're approaching a change like that.
Exactly. One step at a time. And, I do, when I'm working with people, we work a little bit on nutrition, a little bit on exercise, and a little bit on the emotional, because I think it's important to do a little bit of everything at once not like 12 different dimensions of wellness that you have to get perfect and it's this perfect balance, but it's like maybe it's just adding vegetables, and maybe it's just getting out for 2 walks a week, and then maybe it's like taking an hour on Sunday to like really reflect on how you're feeling, you know what I mean? So like
Got it.
starting with that.
So you talk a lot about, Rebecca, like emotional, which typically you don't hear all the time. Doctors and practitioners will say like eat clean, exercise, you're good.
Yeah.
But I think emotional health is so important. I feel like it is being talked a little bit more recently.
Yeah.
In the last few years. What do you think about that? Like, what's one thing you recommend to bring to balance when someone tells you like, I'm so emotionally drained, I don't think I can do any of this other stuff?
It's like take a step back and just hold on and breathe, because often we forget to breathe. And so it's like, what can you do? There is something that you can do. There's always something that you can do. Maybe you're, again, trying to do too much at once. So it's like, go inward, like just sit for a second and like really tap into what is that quiet voice inside of you saying, Like if someone's doing it on their own, especially, like just start with that one thing that's like, I keep thinking, like if you're having these repeated thoughts, like I need to change this, I need to change this, or this isn't working, maybe that's a good indicator that that's where we should start right now, is that spot. And it's not even just about like, I know there's a lot of like mental health talks that are going on, or it's being more, I guess, socially accepted that like, we're not like, no one's textbook. Honestly, we all kind of have some diagnosis of some sort,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
If we're evaluated enough, there's something wrong with all of us. Wrong, in quotes, but. And so I think it's great that they are talking about it, but it's not like, it's not a problem. It's just like part of our journey. So we recognize like, I am not anxiety, you know what I mean? Or I am not stress. It's just something I'm experiencing right now, and kind of take a step back. And then like, what's that one little thing that I can do to help to improve it? Sometimes there's another thing that's behind it, and if we can just be open to the fact that there's something else behind it, still work on the other things, because I don't believe like just sit around and meditate all day and your problems will go away. Like, no, you gotta move, you gotta eat, right? You gotta go have some fun too, and just realize that this is a process,
Right. Yeah, and the human body is so complex that it's almost like never just one thing.
Never.
It's never the case. And I experienced that too, because I work out, I try to eat clean, but I do have bouts of anxiety, and I do have bouts of stress, and I've talked to physicians about it, and they were like, well, maybe you should be on an antidepressant. And I'm like, well, maybe I exercise more. Like, do I do something else?
Yeah.
Is there any other option? But I've absolutely found that oftentimes it's like life gives you like a package deal. It's never like, here you have one problem, have fun with it.
Yep.
So how do you do that kind of workup? Like if I were to come to you, and say, Rebecca, like I feel like I'm having really bad IBS symptoms, but at the same time, like I'm not happy all the time, and I'm just, I'm working through some trouble at home or something. How would you approach that kind of situation?
The first thing again is like, let's really get clear on what's going on and saying it's okay. Like my number one thing is like, be okay with that. Like just accept, like, yes, acknowledge, be aware there is something going on. Okay. Now again, what can we do? When it comes to like digestive issues, for instance, that has a lot to do with, holding on to something. Maybe it's a past trauma. Maybe it's a relationship that you're currently in. Maybe, honestly, this sounds like really weird, but like too much clutter around you, like too much stuff that you're holding on to. Maybe there's a fear of losing something. Like I certainly have over the years had to get rid of a lot of stuff, because like growing up where I was, basically, poor, afraid of not getting stuff. Like when I did have stuff, I never wanted to throw it away. And so then I'm not like processing that, like I have the feeling I have is that, I can't let anything go. So then I don't have a bowel movement for 7 days. You know what I mean? Like that's what happened when I was a kid. It was 7 days that they're like, okay, we got to take her to the doctor. Like,
wow.
Yeah,
That's so interesting. I never thought of that.
And it is, and even there's things, like I've definitely experienced traumas in my life, and I am not one who believes that you get closure. I think that you just learn to accept it and grow from it, because there's going to be parts, like there are certain things that I thought I had everything like figured out. Like I thought I had healed all my past traumas, and then I became a mom and so many things came up for me that I like thought I had already dealt with. And honestly, I got a little frustrated because I'm like, I thought I already worked through this stuff. And then I just had the realization, like, Rebecca, every single time something comes up is your opportunity to heal it a little bit more.
That's a good point.
There's a book by Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul. And that's one of the big things I got from that book. Well, two things. One is that you are not your thoughts and just let them pass. So being aware of your thoughts, like don't get mad at your thoughts. Like you just have thoughts based on your environment and your experience, but you have the power to change those thoughts. With changing those thoughts changes your emotions and changes your actions and changes really your biochemistry. And so, and then the other thing is that every time something does come up for you that you thought maybe that you had worked on or had been gone, it's like thank you for showing me that I still have a little bit of work to do here, and just like appreciate it, because you've never like if you don't love your body now as it is, you're never gonna love it when you get to like that size 4 that you want to be or whatever that is for you, anyone. So it's like, love my body now, even if I'm dealing with all these things, and then go forward, because it comes up just how you think about it and how you feel about it is so critical.
No. And you're absolutely right. Mindset is everything.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, how you take on a situation, we always go to like frustration first, because I feel like that's the easiest way, where you're just like exploding, or you're like, I have to deal with this now. But you're right. If we use it as an opportunity to, okay, how do we address it? How do we fix ourselves? How do we better ourselves?
Yeah.
We take that, we use it, we approve. I think you're totally right. That's great advice. Thank you for that.
For sure. It's like, what can I learn from this? And the thing is, like, I will never tell anyone, like, don't get frustrated. Like, honestly, get frustrated, get mad, but then, like, let that go. Because suppressing those frustrations and those feelings just contribute to the problem. So it's like, okay, let it go. Like, a negative thought actually takes less time in your brain. So it's really normal, and it's like scientifically, you can just have a negative thought quicker than a positive thought. So it's just your mind naturally goes to that. And I think it's, really goes back to primal days and stuff, where you're just like automatically on that fight or flight. And but then you can change that and and look at it differently. Because it's good to like honor whatever emotion is that you're feeling, but don't stay too long in that one that really isn't feeling good.
No, that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Wow. Such good information. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. So how can people reach out to you? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
The best way is through Instagram, Rebecca Geiger Holistics. They can see me there. I do have a little YouTube channel where I just share, kind of my journey with hypothyroid, and just, I'm doing a series right now on like tips to help people lose weight and stuff. So it's just kind of like a little space to talk a little bit more.
That's awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank
you for what you do. I appreciate your time. I promised you 15 minutes, so I don't want to take up too much, but thank you so much for your time today and the wisdom you shared with us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I'm so excited for these bars too, I gotta tell you.
Thank you. Yeah, they're coming up.
Yay.
It's a process. Like everything else, it's a process. So hopefully we'll launch soon.